Greetings, Patriots. Marvin the Bird coming to you on the aftermath of the Catholic boy versus the elder from the native tribe debate. Are you believing any of it? I ain't. I don't believe any of it. It's all bullshit. Yesterday, Donald Trump chimed in. He even mentioned the kid by name on Twitter. He named this fucking kid on Twitter. Now, a day later, they got a bunch of these fucking tom-tom pounders down there smoking their sage and... I mean, the guy these Indians look like real Indians. I'll give him that. I mean, I don't talk about it much. You know, I don't like Mexicans, but that's not a race, even though they want to be a race. Calling a Mexican a Spaniard is like calling an Apache an Englishman, because the British conquered this land or some such shit, or because they speak English. Oh, they're English. They're Anglo-Saxon now, these Indians in America, because they were conquered by the English. That's about as much sense as saying that because Cortez went down there and butchered a bunch of Indians in Central America, they're Spanish now. Man, I don't care how many people that those Spanish soldiers raped in the 1500s. And by the way, the 1500s is not ancient history. That's not like ancient. Ancient is 47,000 years ago in the ice caves of Scandinavia, where my people come from. And they literally have records that go back 47,000 years. In fact, they have one period that went over 25,000 years where they didn't change at all. Everything these people did, this is post-Ice Age people, everything these people did remained the same for 25,000 years. And, you know, at the end of that period, there started to bring in more people from the Middle East started to come into North, up into Europe, and mix in with those people from Mongolia and stuff like that, which those people were originally Caucasians. You know, the Caucasus are out in that part of Russia. You know, we don't want to get hung up on the race, you know, but, you know, there are caves literally in France that they know for a fact that the cave drawings are 30,000 years old. And they even went back into the caves every 2,000 years for 30,000 years and retouched them up with new paint, freshened up the frescoes. And there's records of it. Now they want to play like they don't know nothing. You know, life came out of Africa. We were all eating dirt cookies, living in a little stick enclosure to keep the goats away from the men. And you know, all black people are queens and kings, and we owe our existence to them. And, you know, that don't seem to be taken because Oprah says we should just all die, and then they'll, you know, take our grandchildren and convince them that they're Mexicans or something like that. And then maybe they'll have a better chance of getting those guys to worship a false deity of a cookie made from dirt, eaten guy named Baptiste out of the Dominican Republic. I mean, it's all just made up. It's the UN. It's the UN sitting there making up stuff the same as I make up stuff. I make up stories, they make up stories. The only difference is my stories make a lot more sense. And I'm not going into DNA and mitochondrial DNA and the OJ case and the scientist and the judge that forced him to go into the back room to talk about all the ape matches on OJ's DNA compared to a white person's, and he was like, oh, time out, doctor. This isn't even good enough for a sidebar. We got to go back to the taco bar in the chambers and have lunch, and you can tell me all about the mitochondrial DNA. You know, and they never talked about it again. But I'll tell you what, I heard it, and I looked up that doctor. And that doctor back in the 90s was on Tony Brown's Journal on PBS talking about melatonin And I started taking melatonin back in the 90s, and my hair grew back in. I was going bald in the back, and it grew back in after I started taking the melatonin. And I didn't even know it. I was taking it because he said that the males have a deficiency of whatever, the melatonin after a certain age. So he was suggesting to take it as a supplement, not just to help you sleep at night, which I started doing even back then. And I continue it to this day. And it's proven out to be a good therapy. But that scientist showed that there was differences, markers that are different on your DNA helix between OJ and Ron Goldman. By the way, Ron Goldman, the guy that got butchered up with Nicole Simpson, is from Buffalo Grove, Illinois, which is the next town over from where I live. Just a little trivial, I'd like to send your son out to L.A. to become a movie star and have him get chopped up in some staircase by some Samsonite salesman's son that went bananas. But that's another story. But here we got Trump naming this kid on Twitter, but not backing him up today, because Trump's nowhere to be seen. Nowhere that I've been able to see him. Why isn't he defending this boy that he named by name? What's next? Is this boy, Catholic boy, that they refer to him as the Catholic boy? That's why I say Catholic boy. Is he going to be the next David Hogg? Because it looks like it to me. They got his face in that smirking, defiant, standing up against the tom-tom beating Indian guy. Even Rush Limbaugh is fawning over this case the same way he fawned over the David Hogg case with the bald-headed girl cousin. I mean, literally, Rush Limbaugh was ready to come in his pants talking about that girl the day after the shooting because she got on the news and was so articulate is the word they used. And because of that, Deerfield, Illinois, tried to, and it's in an injunction right now. I don't know what happened to the case. I don't know what the disposition of the case is, but the entire town of Deerfield was going to have a semi-auto ban. I mean, I'm not going to go into that. This video's going to go on forever. But, I mean, we got a bump fire ban out of Parkland, and the guy never used a bump fire. In fact, no one's ever used a bump fire in any crime, ever. But we got a bump fire ban. Now we got the red flag law, because the guy that they said they knew was going to shoot up the school, which I don't even think he did shoot up the fucking school, but that's another fucking story. But he used 5-round magazines. He didn't use extended magazines, and that's all they talk about, though. And what do you care if you're going to get shot in the head out of a 5-round magazine or a 30-round magazine? You're either going to have 4 more rounds in a magazine or 29 more rounds in a magazine, and your brains are going to get blown out. What's the difference? If I got 5 rounds, I'm going to make sure the first one counts. If I got 30, well, maybe I'll chase you down the street a little, throwing rounds at you as we go. But if I only got 1, I'm going to get right up next to you. That's the only difference. And I'm saying that as a sentry. As a close-in sentry, a U.S. Air Force close-in SAC, Strategic Air Command trained killer. I'm telling you, if I got 1 fucking bullet left, I'm not going to try to shoot you from 100 yards away. I'm going to sneak up on your ass and blow your brains out. So that's all that they've turned this into. It's a debate over how many rounds are we going to let you have? Because what? You need to give the cops a chance to rush you? A bum rush when you're reloading? Is that because what is the point of less rounds in a mag? I got off the path again, but here's Trump running with the bump fire when there was no bump fire, or running with the whatever came out of the Mandalay lie. But this guy is not backing us up, man. He told us all about the wall. He told us all about how he's going to defend our beautiful Second Amendment. I don't care if he carries a gun. He's got a permit. All you need to do to get a permit in New York City is have a friend. Used to be able to belong to a gun club to give you a permit because you got to carry the gun to the club to shoot and carry it back home again. It's the same permit. Problem with New York City permits is I believe they want all your serial numbers on the permit. So you got to basically backdoor registration. But those guys are, they're happy because they, now they're packing heat, I got news for you. I've been packing heat my whole life. I've never had a CCW. If I feel threatened, I bring a gun. That's what it's for. I carried a gun every day at work for 4 years. I should be able to carry when my life is threatened and my government is not protecting me. I'm not going to wait till I get shot to try to get a lawyer to get me a carry permit. And I'm not going to give up all my other rights, such as maybe getting a cannabis card or maybe doing this, that, or the other thing, which seems pretty irrelevant right now, huh? 10 years down the line, cannabis card don't really mean shit anymore. You can go into Windsor, Canada and get all the weed you want. You can come back with a government buzz on that they can't take away from you at the border. Excuse me, sir, where are you going with that illegal smile? I'm going back to Chicago. What are you going to do about it, motherfucker? Have a good trip. Don't hit any deer when you're going through Michigan. It's pretty dangerous down there. On your way through Dearborn, don't hit any Muslims. They're very delicate people. They're special. They're supreme to you. Be nice to them. Be friendly. Be kind to Muslims, American. Have a nice day, eh? That's what you're going to hear as you lead the Canadian side and go into Detroit. Eh? Boo now.